everybody, it's Mickie Giacomini, the host of Let's Talk Shop, the show that brings you all these really great, successful people to share what they're doing and tips for you to help you become even more successful. Today, I'm thrilled to have with us Amaya Gregory. She is an author and she is already poised to start changing the world and helping others. So let's bring her on. Hey, Amaya, how's it going?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
Great, great, great. I'm so excited to hear more about your book. So why don't you tell everybody about your new book and what inspired you to write it?
Yeah, so my new book is kind of an inspirational journey that kind of ties in my life experiences and, what I learned from them and how I grew from them. So I kind of dive into a lot of different things, my family history, my family dynamics as I grew up, different things that I got involved with, especially like with school, sports, different things like that, pageantry. I just talk a lot about, different things that I've encountered and kind of the lessons that I've learned from them. And, I do think, I've had kind of a roller coaster life. I've had some really great times, some not so good times. So I think it was really great for me to have a platform, to be able to write some stuff down and kind of let people know like, hey, this is what I went through. And even though there were tough times that definitely made me feel like I was meant to be broken, this is what I did to, make sure that I could thrive in the end and make sure I could be successful. And, I've told some people these stories, throughout my life. They're like, oh my gosh, you need to write these down. So I figured it was time to finally start doing it. So that's kind of what inspired me, just sharing with other people and, hearing their responses. I kind of figured, you know what, yeah, I should write these down. So, I started writing down, words turned to pages, pages to chapters, and it kind of just took off from there.
Oh, that's fantastic. So now that you've written, well, actually, share the title of your book. I love this title.
So I actually have it right here. So
Yay.
my book is called Made to be Broken, Determined to Thrive. And it's exactly what it sounds like. We go through things that, are meant to break us and, kind of tear us down a little bit. But it's really important that we stay determined to thrive and we find different ways to cope and learn from the things that are meant to tear us down and use them to build us up.
Right, absolutely. And I think that that is so true despite whatever age you are, whether you're a teenager in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and so on. We all come across stuff that happens. It hits the fan at any age. And, just having that inspiration of, come on, just keep on going, keep on going. I mean, is that what you're trying to do with your book? What's your goal for your book?
Yeah, so exactly like you said, I kind of mentioned in my book too, I do talk about, age restrictions and I talk a lot about appearances. I'm only 4'9", so people mistake me for being younger all the time. And, it definitely kind of detrimented me at some points. People view me as younger or, maybe I'm not meant for as much because of my age and things like that. And, that's exactly why I wrote it. I've faced these things that I know plenty of people are facing every single day. And I think if someone knows that, yeah, I went through that too, and this is what I did, and this is how it turned out, and it ended up being great, that's what I wanted to provide for other people. Let them know, one, you're not alone. Two, this is not the end of, anything. You can definitely build forward from this. And three, just give people the self-worth that they deserve. It is a short book, but, I'm a firm believer that, it doesn't take much to make a change. And so that's really what I wanted to do with this book is let people know that, there is room for change and room for growth and, anyone deserves that.
So correct me if I'm wrong, when you actually started to write this book, what you didn't actually have a book in mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
just started writing. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. So I kind of got inspired, I just finished my first year of college and I was super involved around, different things, on campus, off campus, in the community, different things like that. And I actually, joined an advocacy group and we fight for student rights and, fixing financial aid and making sure that, college students who are, pursuing higher education, their rights are being heard and, we're trying to give them the best experience that they have. So I actually went to the state capitol and, lobbied there and advocated there for student rights. And just that experience of, doing that and kind of having your voice heard. It was one of the first times that I truly felt like, oh my gosh, I'm making a difference. My voice is truly impacting other people. And that experience alone really kind of pushed me to, maybe maybe start writing these things and form the book, and I had written things down. I like to, just journal, have a diary here and there, this is
Yeah.
what I went through, remember this, things like that. And so advocating and having my voice heard for the first time like that really kind of pushed me and made me see the connections, like, hey, these pages can go together, and maybe I can string this into a book. So it obviously didn't start as, oh, I'm going to write a book today. It And I think that's what made it so impactful and so great for me, was this wasn't something that I expected to do, but
Hmm.
that's kind of what life is. Life kind of hands you lemons and you make lemonade, and that's what this book was for me.
Hey, I know that saying quite well. That's what I do to help people all the time. I help them change, their lemons from life into lemonade.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. You're just right on the money with that. Um, has it changed you now that writing this book and publishing it? How has it changed things for you now?
Yeah, it's definitely had a much larger impact on myself than I ever expected. Obviously I wrote it, to help others and, impact others. So I never really expected the kind of impact it would have on me. Obviously, it wasn't about how many copies I sold, or, the number at the end of the day. But it did take off in a way that I wasn't expecting, especially emotionally. As
Yeah.
people read my book, they'd reach out to me and let me know, like, hey, I really needed to hear this, or hey, this is what I was going through. And after reading this, it helped me get to here. So, it was so eye opening to me. I knew that, I could make an impact. And, this is what I've always felt like I was meant to do, was to help others and things like that. And so to actually do it and to get that response, it not only validated, how I feel about myself, but completely motivated me, to want to do more. And, maybe it's not writing another book right away, but, continue to pursue, I want to go into the medical field. This completely validated that, like, yes, I need to keep helping people and try to influence others. So it definitely brought a lot to me, way more than I was anticipating. Like I said, I wanted to help others, but I think this
Right.
book helped me way more than I could have ever expected.
Right. And if you can just help one other person with your book, then you've succeeded right there, right?
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, now that you've gotten into all this advocacy work and the lobbying, that's amazing. Is that what led you to the lobbying, was the advocacy work?
Yeah, definitely. So I've, always kind of advocated, especially through pageantry, which I talk about a bit in my book.
Hmm.
You get so much outreach with the community and, different resources. And so I've always advocated for, having strong mental health. So that was something I carried with me into college. And then, I kind of got introduced to, what really is financial aid? Are students receiving all that they can to help their experiences and things like that? So as I started to get into advocacy, it kind of led to lobbying, which then led to, okay, what can I do? It's a step further. And, this book was that.
It's fantastic. I love it. It's so pertinent. It's so
Mhm.
pertinent. And again, we talked about that at any age, but really, like you said, to be able to have something that helps with that strong mental health, that is so important, whether you're in high school or college or whatnot. So, I mean, you're just really reaching out and helping so many through your experiences, and letting people know it's okay. Just stay strong,
Yeah.
be you. It's all good. It's all good. What do you wish you had known though before you started your writing project? Now that you've done all this, what do you wish you had known before then, before you started it, now that you've been through all of this?
Right. So I think if I could go back and, maybe tell my younger self something, I would probably, just tell myself, figure out who you are and figure out your truth and, stick to it, especially going into college. You have so many different things kind of thrown at you, and you're just trying to figure out, like, who am I? What am I supposed to do with my life? Things like that. And, people of all ages are facing those questions. And so I think that's why
Yeah.
this is so powerful. But I think if I could go back and, tell myself before I even considered writing a book, you know, figure out who you are, figure out what you love and what really fuels your fire, and do that 100%, because all the other stuff doesn't matter. If it doesn't make you happy, don't give it the time of day. And so I think, earlier on in my life, I paid attention to things that maybe weren't as important as the things that, I truly value and my morals and things like that. And so I think that's one of the best pieces of advice I could have given myself is, you are meant to help others. So do whatever you can to continue doing that. And so that's definitely something that I've learned, especially with this experience, and something that I'll for sure, carry with me throughout my life.
Right. Oh, that's fantastic. Actually, this is the part of the show where we start talking about success tips and advice on that kind of stuff. But what you just said, I mean, that is a really good piece of advice for success for anybody, right? I mean, figure out who you are and be true to yourself. That's really important. A lot of people forget to do that, and they just start going through the motions, and then they're lost because they really just don't know who they are. They need to take that time out and figure out who they are and what it is that they want in life. And life does change. You go down these different roads and everything, and things just change throughout your life. But if you're true to yourself, you're going to always stay on the right course wherever that path may lead, right?
Exactly.
So, I have had the privilege of knowing you for a very long time. I'm very blessed. And again, I'm so excited that you've also become a writer now, so that's very exciting for me. But something you shared with me recently just kind of threw me. I did not know this was your thing. You were sharing with me about your favorite podcast, and it's kind of like a family sort of thing. So tell us all about this podcast.
Yeah, so my family has always been, really into Criminal Minds, Forensic Files, things that kind of revolve around true crime. And so my mom, one of her friends, actually, told her about this podcast. It's called Crime Junkies. So any true crime people out there, this one's for you. It's literally the best podcast I've ever listened to. So it's all about true crime and, telling different murder stories or unsolved cases and things like that, just kind of, giving different insights into, the life of true crime. And it's, something that I just kind of recently got into. I haven't really been into crime, my whole life or anything like that. But it just totally sparked my interest, learning about things that, don't really happen, where I'm located. There's not a whole lot of crime, thankfully, where I live. I know, right? So good. So, to kind of hear these new stories and like different things, and it totally sparks your interest. And, I found that I could kind of relate to, different people. And I think, it just totally gave me a new perspective on life and, not only made me value like my life and, the privileged life that I live, thankfully, and, my amazing family and things like that. But it also, kind of made me sympathize and, learn different empathy for, different people who are going through different things. And so that's what I love about Crime Junkies, and what I love about podcasts in general is, there's literally one out there for everything. I never would have guessed there's a podcast for true crime. But I ended up, listening to it, and now my family listens to it, and we kind of share, the different episodes we listen to and things like that. And I think that's what makes, social media and different things and, webs things like this, it's so great because you get to hear like these awesome things. And, like I said, finding things that kind of fuel your fire and things you're passionate about. Crime Junkies was definitely something I was not expecting to be passionate about, but something I totally fell in love with. And, I've kind of incorporated into my daily routine.
Well, I mean, you threw me when you said that was like your new latest greatest podcast that you're binging on, because I was like, that doesn't seem like her. But now I get it. As you explain it, it does make sense. I mean, yeah, you're valuing your own life, but you're starting to understand people from other different walks of life, and you've got this sympathy and empathy for them. And that really, I mean, that can actually fuel success right there, because you're starting to understand other people that you may not have ever met before.
Yeah.
So, So I do have a question for you.
Okay.
From the writing perspective, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's considering writing their first book? Maybe they have a story inside them and they want to share so that they can help people. I know I recently did that. I went through a very tragic time with not only for myself, but my husband and several friends were going through a lot of things, and I was coaching them. and trying to help them through these situations, and it all centered around job loss. So all of a sudden it was like, okay, I'm coaching them and I'm telling them pretty much the same thing. So it worked itself into 2 books in the last 6 months. So I get what you're going through. And so I'm curious what you would share with somebody who is trying to help others as well.
Yeah, so definitely one piece of advice I would give to anyone with pretty much any project, and something that I really had to, continually tell myself was make time for the things that are important to you, whether it's people, writing a book, a project, your job, whatever it is. If it's important to you, make the time for it. I've said it again and again, and, I'll continue to say it. Do things that fuel your fire, that you're passionate about, and that make you feel alive. And, this book has made me feel alive in so many ways that I was never expecting. And I put it off for a long time. I am really involved on campus, and I'm a full-time student, and I work and things like that. And, I think it's so easy to say, okay, I'll do it later, or, I'll write a few words, I'll do the rest, tomorrow. And it's just so easy to, kind of fall into that hole of, okay, there's more important things. But, at that time, I think it's really good to kind of reflect and tell yourself, like, I need to invest in me. And, if this is something that, it's going to change my life, or it's going to impact others, which, it should be your goal, to begin with. You want to help yourself and, help others with the things that you're doing. And so if it's important to you, then make the time for it. And, it is an investment to yourself, but you're worth it. You should invest in you because, it's going to bring you the outcome that you want to see. So, I'd say to anyone starting any project, don't put it off. Invest the time into you, into what you want to do, and, get it done.
Yeah. Carve out that time every day,
Yeah.
even if it's only 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
to start, or 10 minutes, because you're so busy. Just make that
Yeah.
dedicated time. And I don't know about you, but I find that when I'm on a writing project, when I'm in my groove, I may start off thinking, oh, I'm just going to write this down for like 5 minutes, but all of a sudden it's an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, or I've done an all-nighter because I can't stop writing.
Exactly.
So, but you got to, like you said, you've got to dedicate yourself.
Mhm.
That's really important.
I definitely think starting is the hardest point. I know what you said, you're like, okay, let me just, sit down for 5 minutes. But if it's something you're really passionate about and, something that you feel very strongly for, you're going to be there for way more than 5 minutes. You kind of just get started. And, starting is the hardest point. And I think once
Hmm.
you get over that hump, it's smooth sailing from there.
Oh yeah, definitely. All of a sudden it just, did you just feel like it just started flowing out of you?
Yeah. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, check that
Okay,
out,
yeah. I totally get you. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up with your favorite success tip. What would be
Okay.
your favorite tip for success?
Ooh, that's hard. There's so many.
I know you've given us a lot of good ones. So which one of everything that you've shared with us, which one would be your favorite?
For me, it would probably be, the stay true to yourself, find the things that you're really passionate about, and, just do it. And also to add on, give one more tip out there. I definitely say, surround people who support your end goal. I definitely could not have written this, without the support of my family, and, have people saying, oh, you can do that. And, like on those hard days, reminding me why am I really doing this? And, there was, a few tough days out there. You have life going on and you're trying to do this project and like different things going on. And, my family was really involved with what I was writing. And, there was, one day where my grandma was like, why don't you read this chapter that you wrote? I think you need a little pick me up. And, I think that's just so amazing. They care about what you're working on just as much as you do. So I think in addition to, staying true to yourself and working towards your end goal, surround yourself with people who want that for you too.
Oh yeah, I mean that's an awesome tip for success right there. I mean, you couldn't have said it any better. I do think I know what your next 2 books are going to be. So I already have the titles for you. Stay
Okay.
true to yourself and fuel your fire. Yeah, can't wait for those to come out. They're going to be
Me neither.
great. Right. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it. And for those of you out in the audience, we want to make sure you know that you can reach Amaya on her Facebook page, and we are going to have all this different information for you, and that way you can look into buying her book today. Where can they buy your book?
They can buy it on Amazon. I'll also put the link in my Facebook page. It's on my Instagram. So Amazon is the place to go.
Okay, excellent. All right, and so if any of you watching today would like to be a guest on Let's Talk Shop, contact us today. We'd love to have you on. All right, thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.